Have I Got News for You on a special night, Sunday at 9 on CNN.
President Trump told reporters today that he plans to speak at Charlie Kirk's memorial service this Sunday in Arizona.
I'm going on Sunday. We're taking a whole plane load and I was invited on Saturday, but I said I'd rather save it for Sunday. You know, we're going to have a stadium, and I'll bet that stadium is going to be pretty packed, maybe completely packed. It's going to be big, but I'm going to be at the stadium, and I guess I'll say a few words.
Tens of thousands of Americans, Republican lawmakers, conservative influencers, and activists are all expected to gather to honor Charlie Kirk's life and his legacy. In the wake of his death, some of his allies are supporting an effort to punish people who celebrate his murder online by trying to get them fired from their jobs. Critics have argued the movement is against Kirk's free speech advocacy, but it hasn't stopped some employers from taking action here. We've seen several of the nation's major airlines like Delta, American, and United suspending employees over their social media posts. NASDAQ and the NFL's Carolina Panthers also fired people, as well as a number of public school districts and universities. We heard from the Vice President J.D. Vance today as he urged supporters to keep up the pressure as he was hosting Kirk's show today.
When you see someone celebrating Charlie's murder, call them out. And hell, call their employer. We don't believe in political violence, but we do believe in civility. And there is no civility in the celebration of political assassination. Get involved, get involved, get involved. It's the best way to honor Charlie's legacy.
My political sources are here tonight. Scott Jennings is the former special assistant to President George W. Bush, and Jamal Simmons is the former deputy assistant to President Biden. And Scott, obviously, any celebration over someone's murder is disgusting, and it's clearly wrong. Do you think it's a fireable offense?
Well, I think it's up to every institution to decide what kind of people they want working there. I mean, in the case of some of these universities, they're taking taxpayer money. So taxpayers of, say, Tennessee or South Carolina are funding universities who then employ people who cannot control their emotions enough to stop themselves from going online and celebrating and glorifying a political assassination. Beyond that, these people in education institutions, we entrust them to teach students, to teach our children. And I'll be honest with you, if I thought there was a teacher teaching my children who had it in their heart that maybe we ought to tell the kids political assassination is justified in some case, I would want them gone immediately. So, no, I'm not going to lose any sleep or cry any tears for people who harbor this violence in their heart and who can't control their emotions long enough to not go online and tell the world about it.
Jamal, what do you make of the comments that we're seeing from the vice president and others on this?
You know, Caitlin, I think there's a difference between someone criticizing Charlie Kirk's views or someone celebrating his murder. I don't know that there are that many people who are really celebrating the murder. I mean, maybe there's some of them who are, and they're discussing it. They do.
There definitely are some people.
Yeah.
I guess the question is how many there are. And, you know, I mean, we've seen some of the posts. These people have gotten fired.
Sure. And I think, you know, I posted online that we should give people time to grieve. I think it's a very difficult time to have a fact-based conversation with people who are in emotional pain. And so it's okay to say, listen, let Charlie's friends and family have a few days to grieve his memory. We will have a lot of time to talk about what it is he believes and go through his beliefs. And those people like me who disagree with him vehemently in person and online believe like we will have that discussion about Charlie's beliefs. But now is not the time while people are having their grief. So I think that's an appropriate way. I mean, one of the things I posted, which I got a little bit of grief for from friends, was think about how you would feel if someone you respected was murdered. That's what you should do. Do the same thing you would want people to do for you in that moment.
Yeah, it says obviously a lot about them. And Scott, you know, I was thinking about this as we were just talking to Senator Tina Smith of Minnesota, because when Melissa and Mark Hortman were murdered in their home, we saw Senator Mike Lee kind of making light of it on Twitter. And Senator Smith actually confronted him in the hallway about it because she thought the posts were so inappropriate. And basically argued, you know, that the position he's in, that he should not be posting things like that in the wake of someone's death, someone's murder.
Yeah, look, I think when someone is murdered, particularly for those of us who are political actors and we're in the political system, when someone's murdered, and for whatever reason, I don't know exactly what the motivations were of the guy in Minnesota. It sounds like he had some mental problems. But whatever, it doesn't really matter. We should say, this is wrong. People should not be murdered. People who are in public service should not have to fear being murdered. And people like Charlie Kirk, who were doing nothing more than engaging in what we always say we should do, talk to each other and engage in civil discourse, they should not have to fear violent reprisals. That's what everyone should say. But in the case of these people who are being fired from their jobs, I mean, we're kind of tiptoeing around it here, but I can read some of them out loud if you want. These people were not online saying, well, I disagree with Charlie Kirk. They were online saying the world is better off without him. They were online saying, his wife, in this case, she's a sick F word for marrying him. I don't care about her feelings. We're better off living in a world without a disgusting psychopath. That's who we're talking about here. And I'll tell you one more thing that's on my mind tonight, and conservatives everywhere. The idea that people are saying, well, he was an extremist, or he was a racist, or he was a Nazi, or a misogynist, whatever. Therefore, we could get around to rationalizing it. Charlie Kirk was a mainstream conservative Republican. He had views that are held by tens of millions of people, including more than half the country in the last election. So if you're online saying this is justified, what you're actually saying is half the country I live in, there's some justification to commit violence or murder against them. And that's what is concerning about the people who are doing this. And that's why I don't think anybody is losing any sleep about these folks not being able to teach our children.
Yeah, and to be clear, I'm not tiptoeing around it. There are people who have been celebrating it. I think we were pretty blunt about that. And obviously that's wrong and evil and just not right. And on that, Jamal, though, can I ask you, because we were watching today, there was a vigil in Washington last night for Charlie Kirk. Speaker Johnson was told today there was a count that fewer than a dozen Democrats were present at that. He responded saying, I'm glad it was bipartisan. I wish more had participated. I'm not sure why they didn't, so I don't know what else we could do. I should note Trump did not go to that vigil, but do you think that more Democrats should have gone?
I think Democrats have to make that decision for themselves whether or not to go. It's okay. Listen, I don't think that we should interpret giving people time to grieve for Charlie Kirk with saying people ought to be supportive of Charlie Kirk. They can have a very vehement disagreement with who he was or what he stood for, I should say. And they may want to express that in whatever way they want to. But the question then becomes, the president's deputy chief of staff came out today and called the Democratic Party an extremist organization after the president said that he was going to take action against extremist organizations. So the question arises in my mind, is the president of the United States going to outlaw the Democratic Party? Is that where we're headed? Is the president of the United States going to unleash the Justice Department on the Democratic Party?
Is that your concern?
It's absolutely a concern. This president has shown that he's willing to use the Department of Justice to go after his political enemies. He said that pretty much openly. And now his deputy chief of staff, who's really the policy director of the White House, is calling the Democratic Party an extremist organization. It raises very real questions about a two-party democratic system in this country, even though obviously we're all concerned about all the big issues the president raises, like crime and terrorism and those things. I don't think the Democratic Party is one of those organizations.
Jamal Simmons and Scott Jennings, thank you both for being here. Up next, my source has new reporting that the president did know, or